Get ready for Tuesdays with Tiffany Lewis. Tune in at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time to Be the Change. Only on Clearsource Radio, where we inspire people soul to soul. Only on Clearsource Radio.
Hey guys. Hi everyone. Happy Tuesday. Happy Mardi Gras. This is Tiffany H. Lewis, and you are listening to Be the Change on Clearsource Radio and iHeartRadio. I hope everyone is doing wonderful. I know this season, this winter/spring back and forth bipolar weather is not helping, and a lot of us have been, pretty sick for a while now, but off and on. But, we're healing, and hopefully we'll get through this soon and get ready for pollen season. Yay, a whole new set of allergies and problems. But listen, I am always very blunt and direct. So I'm going to begin tonight's episode with a disclaimer. And the disclaimer is this. I think that what we're going to be discussing tonight is probably better suited for mature audiences, and as far as parents or anybody that even knows kids, teachers, it doesn't matter who you are or what you're doing. Like, if you're an adult and you have any kind of contact with children in a healthy manner, you probably want to hear my message tonight. And then maybe after you've listened to it, you can decide if you'd like to talk to your children about that, or even let them hear this episode, or even watch the video that I put on Facebook. I put a Facebook video up a few days ago, maybe 3 days ago, and it went into everything that we're going to be discussing this evening. And it was kind of a precursor to this, because it's I didn't mean for it to be, but it's actually a quite long video. It's at least 30 minutes that I'm aware of. And it's a good start. It's a great start. But the frame of mind I was in when I made that video was, I was kind of angry because of something, and I'll get into that in just a minute on why I was angry. So if I came across a certain way that was intentional, I am always very careful with my word choice and my delivery. So that video was meant to be delivered that way. And yes, I chose those words wisely, intelligently, and through multiple different ways of research. Some even firsthand. Okay, so there's the disclaimer, and I will leave it up to you. You're the adult, and you decide if you want your kids to know about this, or you want to tell them about this, or you want me to tell them about this. And you can play this for them, or just let them watch the video, which really just dives right into it in about 30 minutes. So here we go. And we only have less than an hour, so I'm going to try to get as much in here as I can possibly get in. And I want to let you know that I'm playing a very specific set of binaural beats. Sometimes I play alpha waves with you guys on this specific show, because alpha waves are said to increase focus and concentration. And the binaural beats that I've selected for this evening's show are for deep focus and retaining the information, so that everything I say, I hope you take it seriously, and I hope that you genuinely hear my message and do what you want with it. I am just going to give you a message, a lot of messages. So that said, here we go. Welcome to Be the Change. This is Tiffany H. Lewis, only on Clearsource Radio and iHeartRadio. And this episode will be on iHeartRadio tomorrow, March 6th, 2019. All right, guys. Let me start at the beginning. And my video does this, and it's very important for me to start at the beginning so that it can lead up to where we are right now. So here's the beginning. 3 years ago, I started seeing videos that were sent to me of young children, some of them as young as, 7, 8, 9. They were taking their own life by the hand of suicide and posting it on Facebook Live, and then it was being, I was being tagged in it, and it was being shown to me, given to me, because my friends know me very well, and they know that I have very strong feelings about things like that, and I really like to reach out and extend open arms and write letters and send cards and be a wonderful support system. So that led to me, being the founder of PFPO, Pens for Pals organization, which I'm sure you've heard me talk about multiple times. So PFPO, we formed this large group of worldwide volunteers, and we began writing letters to people all over the world whose names were given to us willingly and or nominated by, say, their mother. So we had their permission, and with each letter, which began at about 100, 120 letters a week, every single week, all over the world, okay? And through our letters, we got just this amazing response. We immediately got sponsored. We immediately partnered with everybody, and it has turned into this beautiful, beautiful thing. And it's not just about suicidal prevention or mental health at this point. We have expanded it so much. So it started there. It starts with videos that lead us to form a very, very strong, large community, united to try to end this stigma. People share poems with us. People send us pictures. People draw, anything artistically, and just, you wouldn't believe the gratitude. So that's Pens for Pals. That's how that started. That's why that started. Those videos hopefully can't be found on Facebook anymore. But then again, we could have a whole other conversation about that, and I might dive into that a little bit later. But on the surface, the amount of the things that we are literally allowed to see, the 4% of the internet that we are actually allowed to see, maybe below that surface, those videos are still there, and I'm quite sure of it, actually. But all right, so and this isn't going to be in any, I'm going to try to keep it in an order, but I've got a lot to say, like I said, and I don't have a lot of time, and I don't want you to feel like I'm rushing. All right, so we opened Pens for Pals, and that led to what it is today. This is 3 years later, and like I said, now we're involved in all kinds of stuff, from human trafficking to opening community centers and building villages for those that have been human trafficked, etc., 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 etc. So, about 1 year into PFPO, a couple of challenges came out. One of them was called the Blue Whale Challenge. And another one that surfaced, I believe originally in 2016 or 2017. People give varying answers on when that actually began. Okay, so that's the Momo challenge that I'm referring to. And right now, today's thing is, in the world today currently, the most recent challenge that's disturbing is the Tide Pod challenge. I want to break each of the three down for you, and you may know that I have had an entire episode, at least one full episode, about the blue whale alone. But I'm going to touch on each one and then we're going to move on to more important things like what to look for. So the Blue Whale Challenge goes like this. It's a 30 or 50 day challenge, and so is the Momo challenge. They're very similar in a lot of ways. What happens is you text a number or make contact using an app that a lot of children know about, and that includes teenagers and adults alike. And this app is called WhatsApp. You actually enter your actual phone number. They don't even give you a fake phone number, and then you can very easily find a number to contact Momo, or with enough research, somebody who is involved in the Blue Whale Challenge, which started in Russia, and Momo started in, she's a doll that was created in Japan. And then Blue Whale kind of went away a little bit, but before I stop that conversation, I want to tell you what Blue Whale does. So Blue Whale is a 30 to 50 day challenge, and it starts off with little things such as wake up every day at 3 a.m. and watch a video that only they can send you the link to. And you know, they are hackers. They, who I'm referring to, they, in these two challenges, they are hackers. Okay, so they have your IP address, and we're talking about children who are using an app called WhatsApp, so that it makes it twice as much dangerous. And they're receiving all the information about this person. Because why? Because we publicly volunteer our information just by being on social media. It's really not that hard to stalk a person when we willingly give our name, sometimes our address, sometimes our phone number. I just told you that you have to enter your actual phone number into WhatsApp to get into the app. So, you know, it's really not that hard to figure out things, especially that would intimidate children, just based off of some pretty simple hacking skills. Nothing even major at this point, you know, just like I said, public information, social media. Anyway, they threaten you, and as those challenges continue, you are then to wake up at 3 a.m. every day and say, stand on top of a building. And maybe the next day you'll be challenged to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and stand at the very, very top of a building and look down and try to put 1 foot over the edge. Now, the thing with it is you have to provide evidence of this. So you are to take photographs of this. And if you do not take photographs and you do not complete the challenge after you have clearly signed up for this and agreed to play the game and agreed to the rules of the game, knowing well in advance that the ultimate end of the game, the ultimate challenge, is literally to take your own life by the hand of suicide. So these little challenges, they groom you. Stand on the railroad tracks, lay on a railroad track and take a picture, or have somebody else take a picture of it. So now you know that their friends are involved. You know, they think it's funny or interesting or daring or exciting. Anyway, by the end of the Blue Whale Challenge, you have carved blue whale into your arm, whatever that looks like to you. It's a whale carved into your arm with like a knife or a razor, period. You also have many other cuts and self-mutilations going on. It asks you to do, you know, a certain number of cuts every day. So as you can see where I'm going with this, it gets deeper and deeper and deeper until you have been conditioned and groomed to not be afraid to stand on the ledge or lay on a railroad. We have taken away all of your fears, every one of your fears. And I believe one of the challenges is to tell them what your greatest fear is and to confront it, period. And that alone could lead to death. So I'll leave that alone. And then, you know, one of the other things that you have to do somewhere near the last week of the Blue Whale Challenge, be it 30 or 50 days, is you have to go online and actually say hashtag I am a blue whale or hashtag blue whale. You have to somehow make it very clear all over social media that you are a blue whale. And anybody who sees that knows that that means you are going to take your own life by the hand of suicide. And you are part of this supposed, club of cool kids who have to dye their hair black and carve into their own skin and then post it all over the internet that they are blue whale, hashtag blue whale. Okay, they're bleeding, they have all these cuts. There's at least 20 different kinds of cuts and marks that you have to actually carve into your own body, your arms and your legs. So you're going to notice some strange behavior changes, right? Wearing long sleeves in the summer to cover up the bleeding, maybe blood somewhere laying around in the bathroom, blood droplets or something that they forgot to clean up, or the fact that they have to dye their hair black. And very obvious things. Waking up at 3 a.m., all of a sudden having friends over more often, and being scared by a video at 3 a.m. every single day, which the link has to be sent to you by the moderators of the Blue app, which would sort of be equivalent to a handler, which I'm not going to get into that on this show, but someone who handles you. All right. So we've posted I'm a blue whale online, and now you are instructed to, with fear, because remember, they have all these pictures of you doing all these stupid things, and it is used against you. And if they have your IP address and you're using your phone or your computer in your house, guess what? They know where you live. They are known to show up at your house and prove to you that they know where you live. Now, this is a very serious, game or challenge, and it always ends the same. The end result is death, period, end of story. There's no way around it. And if you don't follow through, I would definitely be brave enough to go so far as to say it is followed through for you, because you signed up and you agreed to that in the very, very beginning. All right, so you cut off all your communication with everyone that you know. Parents, there's another behavior you might want to look out for. A child dyes their hair black, they start cutting, they start wearing clothing that maybe they didn't wear before, maybe darker makeup. And I don't like stigmas, so I'm not going to say that like dark makeup is an indicative of depression or whatever. I wear black a lot. I love the color. I just do. I like a little bit of dark makeup sometimes too when I feel like dressing up. So that does not mean that it's related, but it is something with this specific challenge that, and with suicide and depression in general, I think that may not be such a stigma to the extent that I'm saying it is, and maybe it is. I don't know. I'm a 90s child, so I grew up in the grunge era. So me listening to heavy metal music or dyeing my hair crazy colors or wearing whatever is normal to me. But these kids are millennials and they were not raised in that era. So they want to be cute and they want to get likes and they want to be followed and subscribed to and get dopamine hit after dopamine hit after dopamine hit online, because it's all about that online like, subscription, follow, etc., etc. Anywho, back to the blue whale. That's the end of it. The end is death. The last time I did a show on this, there were 6 or 8 literal reported deaths in Russia alone. Now, I have not done my research on that because I have done a whole show on that. Now I'm going to move you forward to a challenge that, like I said, it started in 2016 or 2017, and then it kind of died down a little bit. Sorry, bad choice of words there. It went away for a little while. It seemed to have dissipated. This is the Momo challenge. Well, it surfaced again recently. very recently. I've seen videos from yesterday. I've seen videos from 4 hours ago. And I've seen at least 20 different phone numbers that all claim to be Momo's phone number. Now, some people will tell you that this is a hoax. And if you don't know what a Momo is a doll, sort of, a half of a doll. She's got brown hair that's a little bit messy and wavy. She has these humongous white bulging eyes with dark black pupils that are just about half the size of the eyeballs. She has a kind of perfect nose, and she's got this grin on her face, this sort of Nightmare Before Christmas type evil grin. Grin, and ironically, like the Grinch, how he has that grin, right? That sideways grin. There you go. Perfect example. And I'll post pictures, but not too many because it's not very pleasant to look at. Anywho, she's got a head. Her hair covers one side of her shoulder. She's topless. She has two arms that go straight down, and her breasts are right there in the open. And then right underneath of that, between the arms, there are the two breasts, and coming right down the center of that is a pole or a stick, or something holding her up, a stand inside of a circle. So a circle with a stand holding basically half of a torso and a head with hair, crazy eyes, creepy long black fingernails that are not human. So if you believe in this, which I've only ever had one person tell me that it was a hoax, and I've done extensive research on this to include even calling the numbers just to see what would happen. And it's not easy to find legitimate numbers, and I keep up with this. I get notifications every time a new video is posted about it with a potential phone number because I'm trying to track it down. But that's just me. I love to explore and research topics from the inside out because that helps me better explain it to you guys in a way that makes sense to everyone, on all of us at the same time, on the same level. That way we are all in the same amount of knowledge. The same circle of information is being shared with every one of us listening or talking right now. All right, back to Momo. Momo challenge, 30 days to 50 days, something very similar to the blue whale. I have never heard of anybody carving themselves. This is an app called WhatsApp. You are supposed to dial Momo's phone number, which she has, like I said, 10 or 20. None of them are valid. I called them all myself. Nothing happens. But hypothetically, there's apparently really a few numbers, most of which can be traced back to Russia, ironically, again, and Japan. And I guess kids call them, they pick up the phone and they call them. And by kids, I'm talking about anyone between the ages of, 5 and, well, I guess whenever they grow out of that, 17, 18, 19, 20, I don't know, whenever they feel like growing out of it. But as long as the interest is there, and as long as these numbers keep surfacing, the interest is going to continue to be there, and it's always going to be like, oh, look, a new number from Momo, let's try this one. Anyway, challenges. Momo is very blunt and straight to the point, too. You text her, it started with you call her, and you hear this creepy message, and she tells you in some creepy, demonic, possessed type of voice that Momo's going to kill you. I've heard it myself. Momo's going to kill you. You're going to die. Also, her face is on the screen, so it's like a FaceTime chat sort of thing once you are able to move past the text messaging side of it. And now that access has to be given to you. You have to be granted permission. So it may start out with a text in WhatsApp, but it'll eventually lead to a link, and you can have a conversation with her, which is just her talking and you watching, and it scares the bejesus out of your kids, which is a good thing. That's exactly what it should be doing, is scaring the bejesus out of them so they never look at it again, call it again. And I've heard so many horror stories of people who were able to get that link and look at it and see her face to face saying to them their name, where they live, followed by, random creepy noises outside of their house, or I'm standing outside of your house and I'm watching you, and all of a sudden a knock or a bang or a door opens. And so my theories on her are: A, she's either a possessed doll, a demonic possessed doll, a poltergeist, sort of like Annabelle or Robert the doll. That's A. And B is just a robot automatically responding to these texts in WhatsApp. It's probably an automatic reply. All you have to text is, "Hi, Momo," and then she goes on to say, "Do you want to play a game?" And I'm not going to give you any more instructions on how to go through with that. And it's not easy to do. So even any normal random person, including myself, can't just get in there and have that kind of access. You have to be granted those permissions, and it takes time, and it takes earning the right moderator's trust. They have to trust you. And believe me, they've already tracked you. Remember, Wi-Fi, IP address, internets, phones, social media, and public information are all related. So Momo asks you if you want to play a game. So you say, "Yeah, I want to play your game." And no matter what the information between that part of this conversation and the end result, all that matters is that the end result ends in death or ends up scaring even adults, scaring them so bad that they throw their phones in rivers, throw their laptops in bodies of water, and never open that app again, delete all of their information. I've seen people go as far as to self-destruct their phone, which anybody with an iPhone, well, probably a lot of other phones too, but you can do that. You can install things on your phones or your laptops that make them self-destruct. But remember something: everything that we look at or do or say or type on the internet, on the web, right? Social media, everything, Facebook, everything. It doesn't even matter. Emails, texts, every single thing that we put out there into the world in writing or with a keystroke or by typing it or even by manifesting it energy-wise in our head just by putting a thought out there, right? Cause and reaction, guys. You're manifesting something no matter how you're going about it, and everything that you do on the internet leaves traces. It leaves footprints. It leaves carbon copies, as I said in my video. So you can throw away whatever you want, but they already have your IP address. They already have all of your information. So unless you just fall off the face of the earth and decide never to use another phone ever again for the rest of your life, give up all social media, which I would highly recommend at this point because it's about to get a lot darker. And, I hope it does scare the bejesus out of you and that you never, ever use WhatsApp or try to call Momo or play any games or any challenges whatsoever, ever. Even the most innocent of challenges are not innocent. I assure you of that. I do. Extensive isn't even a good enough word for the amount of hours I put into research every single day of my life. I don't sleep at night. I am a night owl. I will stay up and watch as many videos as I can and get as much information extracted from not just videos but books, libraries. I love libraries. I love knowledge. Now, I'm not listening to media, I'm not listening to social media, and I'm not talking about newspapers or magazines or anything like that. I'm talking about actual articles, physical proof of things that have happened that are true. And I love learning. I really, really love learning about everything. And when I decide to learn about something, I learn about it every day for the rest of my life. I never ever stop learning about that thing because there's always one more thing that I could probably learn from it that day. So that's going to lead me to another one that I'm actually only going to touch on pretty quickly because this one's just stupid. All right. The Tide Pod Challenge. That's the new thing. Oh, and real quick, I need to say two things before I move on to the Tide Pod Challenge. Two things here. I told you in the beginning of this show that I would start at the beginning, and I forgot a very important piece. So, I have a son. He turned 13 4 days ago. And the very first words out of his mouth on his birthday were, "Do you know what a Momo challenge is? How about a Tide Pod challenge?" And as I dropped my jaw, my phone, regained my composure, sat there for a minute, very irritated that my child would say to me and display his knowledge, not only of these challenges, but that he has a desire to want to take his own life by the hand of suicide. And he says something to the effect of, something about committing suicide. And this is a very important piece. Before I come back to that, I'm going to jump over here for a minute. Listen, guys, if you don't hear anything else I say tonight, hear this. You cannot commit suicide. It is not a crime. You can commit a crime. You can. You can commit fraud. You can commit adultery. You can commit a lot of things. Look at the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not commit blah, 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 blah. Those things can be committed. Now, in my world and in the other rest of the world that has ever lost a loved one by the hand of suicide, to suicide, by hanging, by accidental overdoses, by any other choice of words that you could possibly come up with, none of them will ever, ever, ever say that their family member, friend, or child committed suicide, because it's not a crime. And we're not going to go into the religion. I understand it is not recognized by the Catholic Church. Okay, I get that, and I'm dropping that right there. But please stop saying that. It makes me angry. I'm not going to get into my opinions about suicide, but I am going to say that it is not a crime, and you are not committing a crime by doing it. End of story. What you can say, the preferred language for that by this very, very, very large portion of the entire world, because one suicide every 16 minutes, just a man in his 50s, for example, to a gunshot wound. That happens every 16 minutes. Every 8 minutes, a police officer takes their life. And those are just a couple off the top of my head of the statistics. And you know what? None of them committed suicide. They died by the hand of suicide. Please memorize that sentence. Died by the hand of suicide, or took their own life by the hand of suicide. I don't care what you say, as long as you do not put the word commit or committed in there. All right, end of that rant. Back to the story. So, 13-year-old son comes to me and asks me about a Momo challenge and a Tide Pod challenge, and, I got angry, obviously. And, I really don't want to go here again. I already went here in my video, but for the sake of this conversation, for those of you that listen to this show and do not have my access to my Facebook video or can't seem to find it, even though it's super easy to find just by typing in Tiffany Lewis Castillo, it's public, and it comes with a forewarning. That's the first word, forewarning. Okay, it's a video. And I talk about everything that we've talked about so far. But, so, you know, hearing your 13-year-old child on his 13th birthday even slightly indicating that he has suicidal thoughts, tendencies, and wants to play games and challenges that ultimately lead to his demise. That is horrific. And you know what? I'm going to tell you something else. I was raised by the same two people that are raising him and my other son. And what they did to me, they are doing to him. It started at a very young age with my two children that live with my mom and dad. They put them on medication when they were 5 and 6 years old. And we're talking about mind-altering, controlled substances. One to stay awake and one to go to sleep, as it was put to me umpteen times. Her words, my mom's own words. One to wake him up and one to put him to sleep. Like, what in the world is wrong with you? But anyway, let's go back to my day for a minute. Okay, when I was 13, hey, I was probably like 10 when I got put on medications. And back in my day, everybody needed Ritalin. And today we know that is PTSD and anxiety. And I suffered from extreme abuse. So my point is, it takes one to know one. And I know that when my 13-year-old child comes to me on his very 13th birthday and starts inquiring about things that will ultimately lead to not just thoughts of wanting to play these games, but maybe even lead to them playing these games. And I was specifically told that they didn't even have access to the internet. And as I said in my video, I pay a lot of money for them to go to private school. So what I want to always do with them is, you know, have healthy intellectual debates and figure out what they like and what their passions are and what calls to them. And I never in a million years wanted to hear those words that I knew were going to happen. I told my mother like 1,000 times. I said, you know what insanity is? The very definition of insanity is literally repeating the same behavior over and over and over and over again, expecting a different result. But I'm the crazy one. So you put me on Ritalin and you put me on medication, and my little brain was not able to handle these very heavy, strong, controlled medications. And today we're talking about Adderall, and I don't even know what else. They're way worse than, or I don't know, I've never actually tried Adderall, but I'm pretty sure that they're way worse than Ritalin was. But either way, they all do damage to your brain, and they rewire your brain so that you not only become dependent on it, but now you have like a 99.999% chance that you have an addictive personality now. So when we grow up after being, you know, having drugs shoved down our throat and not dealt with and running away to get away, escape from the abuse, and being brought back to the family only to get our butts whooped for running away, okay, into a world where now all you have to do is just play a stupid challenge just in your life because it's fun, right? But it's not fun, and it's not funny, and I know what it takes to come to that point, to say those words. I know what it takes to want to know what that feels like. I know what it takes, a lot more than I'm going to say right here and right now. What I do know is that they are raised in the same environment I was raised in, and as I've said a billion times, I told her right when she put them on those medications when they were 5 and 6 years old, I said, do not put them on these medications. You're not listening to me. Look how I turned out. Are you serious? You're really going to repeat this again? So you can only imagine. You know, he was 5 at the time, he's 13 now. We're talking about, you know, more than, I don't know, I can't do math right now because my brain's like, whatever. 8 years later, on medications, heavy medications, direct quote, one to wake them up and one to put them to sleep, right? Like there's some kind of robots, and she's some kind of handler, but whatever. Shove medications down their throat that rewire their brains, and they become chemically dependent on what? Chemicals, right? Okay. And then they become, unfortunately, you get an addictive personality on a lot of different levels. So you are very susceptible to becoming an alcoholic or a drug addict, and probably most likely extremely susceptible to, especially if you're even talking about these challenges at this point, that tells me that you've already tried something. I know that for a fact, because I lived with them. I know what they did to me, and I'm watching them do it to them, and I'm like, nobody, what is, like, wake the hell up here. I mean, what is it going to take for you guys to see that you are a product of your environment? And now, not everybody is going to agree with me on that statement, but in this particular case, okay, I have a brother and a sister that turned out just fine. But me, I was abused extensively, extremely, harshly, violently. Every single type of abuse that one could manifest onto somebody was done to me 100 billion times over. And now I've got children coming to me, my own children coming to me by the same two people, the same two abusers, and talking about, you know, not only wanting to do challenges, but the fact that I know that you've already tried and attempted suicide at this point. Okay, admit it or not, you've already attempted it at this point. You want to know how I know that? Because I did it too. I did. I was way younger. And I know what it takes to make a 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old want to take their own life by the hand of suicide. So I know exactly what they're going through. So maybe somebody in law enforcement will hear this, and maybe some judge will, you know, break the system of this thing that we have going on, where we tear these families apart and we tear these children away from supposed bad parents and give them to supposed safer, healthier people, places. And guess what? They still turned out exactly the same way. I mean, I can't even help but laugh. I'm laughing through tears, yes. Okay, I'm laughing through anger, yeah, but it's, come on, man, I saw this coming and I said it. I swore it would happen, and here we are, moving forward. So then he talks about wanting to try the Tide Pod Challenge. All right. I am going to run out of time, so I'm going to keep the Tide Pod Challenge very, very short, because I have another message that I really need to touch on. Tide Pod Challenge. Challenge is you take a Tide Pod, you put it in your mouth, you bite down, and you immediately start spitting out this green stuff or whatever color Tide Pod. Oh, by the way, let me throw in the fact that when my son said he wanted to do the Tide Pod Challenge, and I thought I was funny, but I said, well, how do you know you're going to get the right flavor of Tide Pod? Like, you don't know which flavor it is. Okay, so that worked. I don't know for how long that's going to work, but it was a temporary fix, and I thought it was, you know, I thought I outsmarted him somehow. Anyway, put the thing in your mouth, you bite down, you make a video of it, you do it live, you get likes, subscribe, follow, whatever. Maybe it goes viral on YouTube. It's not like there aren't 4 million of these videos. Everyone is doing it. I actually witnessed a family of 4 intentionally do the Tide Pod Challenge on camera, on YouTube. Okay, a mom, a dad, right, seemingly normal people, a mom, a dad, 2 sons. One was about 6, one was about 3. They all said, oh yeah, like excited, you know, we're going to do the Tide Pod Challenge. Ha, here we go. Ha, here we go. All 4 of them, literally, the dad dispensed 1 Tide Pod to each one of them, including himself. And at the same time, all 4 of these people sitting at this kitchen table with the Tide Pods, pick up their Tide Pods, put them in their mouth, and bite down all at the same time. So, Tide Pods are made with very dangerous and potentially life-threatening chemicals. Okay? And I have two sides to this. One side is that when the Tide Pod, before the challenge came out, what happened was 5-year-olds and children under 5 years old were gaining access to Tide Pods, which is why they changed the container to where nobody can get into it anymore. But I find that kind of funny, but that you can't even get into the container, but that's a smart move. Anyway, Tide Pods, they smell great, right? Have you ever smelled one? Man, they smell good. So surely they must taste good. And to a child, that is the equivalent of candy. Literally, there are tons of videos that explain to you a young child equating an object that smells good and is pretty colors and it looks kind of like a lollipop, sort of. Of course you're going to think that's candy if you're under 5 years old or whatever age. Just all the videos I found, they were specifically talking about children under 5. So everybody learned to put the Tide Pods up high. Well, then surfaces the Tide Pod Challenge, where people willingly do this and they willingly bite into them. And just a few of the things that are going to happen when you bite into a Tide Pod. You want to do this challenge? Let me tell you what it's all about. You put it in your mouth, you bite down. You have just released all of these toxins and chemicals and poison into your mouth. So you immediately spit it out and your mouth starts burning, your throat goes numb, your throat swells up, you are kind of coughing, you are immediately like projectile vomiting everywhere, okay, and running to the bathroom because it has other things once it makes its way into your digestive tract. But here's the thing, here's the kicker, okay? The kicker is, while you are gagging and gasping for air and vomiting and running to the bathroom and trying to make it stop burning, right? Your whole face is like on fire. Your mouth, your tongue, your everything is burning. What happens if you go like, and you finally catch a breath? Well, what happens is you just inhaled it into your lungs. You want to know what's going to happen to you? You're going to end up on life support, because what's going to happen next is once it goes down your throat and the Tide Pod, the clear thing that surrounds the Tide Pod, which holds the 3 little ingredients together inside of it, that's a film. And that film coats your throat and coats the lining of your intestines and coats your throat, and your throat swells up, such as in a way equivalent to anaphylactic shock. So now you can't breathe, now you're turning purple, you're getting up on life support, you're probably going to die, maybe you won't, but you're really stupid if you do the Tide Pod Challenge, and it doesn't taste good. So stop doing that, kids and parents, and stop videotaping you doing that to your children, because I mean, my God, that you're parents of the year. You're videotaping yourself with your 6-year-old and your 3-year-old, and I'm the worst mother on the planet, and my children are being raised by the same people that abused me, talking about suicide at the same age that I attempted it. So here we are. All right, enough of that. You want to learn more? Watch the video on Facebook. Like I said, super easy to find. Tiffany Lewis Castillo. That is my personal page, and it is public. I don't care who sees it. I do not care who it offends. I have already lost friends, family, well, supposed family, and followers over that video. But you know what? It's the truth. Everything I'm telling you right now is true. And if my truth and my personal story affects you and bothers you that much that you want to unfriend me over it, please do. Here you go, man. Don't let the door hit you on the way out, because I don't need those kind of people in my life, because I have a very, very, very almost perfect support system and wonderful friends, amazing friends who are all family to me. And, you know, I love interacting with people and helping people and gaining new friendships. I love that. But I don't like people who feel like like exposing something somehow shamed them or something. Well, then what, if you feel shamed by it, then what have you done? End of story. All right, we are almost out of time. I do not have time to get into what I wanted to touch on, so I'm just going to barely scratch the surface. All right, I want to introduce you to what I'm going to be talking to you about on Friday. Friday, 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on Clearsource Radio and iHeartRadio. I have a show called Decoding the Unknown. Check it out. People call it a conspiracy theory show, and I am known to expose facts and information, or things that are public information on the internet. So I'm not really blowing any whistles there because it's public information on the internet. I'm just sharing it, reading it, learning it, and then sharing it. Anyway, there's this... I have discovered that the whole world is actually only allowed to see 4% of everything that's on the internet. Now, that is the complete culmination of every single thing internet, an app, and cloud, and any other words I could come up with. All of it that we see, emails, apps on our phone, app stores, games, everything that we see, the internet, anything on the internet, anything about the internet, anything found on the internet, anything that you can watch or view or like or subscribe or follow or push or play or whatever on any kind of device that is an electronic device, such as a phone or an iPad or a computer or whatever. Okay, that's all the internet, right? That's that place where we put all of our public information out there and then wonder how come or why we are so easy to find. These hackers don't have to be that clever to get your IP address. It's kind of common knowledge. But, we provided it. So, myself included. Not a very smart move. And I don't like social media. I also don't watch the news, but this isn't about me. So, find out that we are only literally allowed to see 4% of everything that's actually on the internet. This is called the 4%, and then underneath of that is called the deep web, and then underneath of that is called the dark web. I'm not going to get into that. I think I've had a very good explanation of the challenges this evening, and I'm going to save that information for Friday's show. I just wanted to let y'all know that everything you think you know about the internet is hiding right there in plain sight, just underneath of that 4% surface. And once you begin scratching it, it is a scary place, a very dangerous place. And these challenges have nothing on the dark web and the deep web. And yeah, it's true what they say, that you can buy anything. You really can. I've seen it. I've seen some horrific stuff, but anyway, that's as far as I would like to go with that tonight. Shout out to all of my children at this point, and if for some crazy reason he ever gets to hear or is allowed to hear this show, not by my choice, but by my mother's or father's or whomever's, if you're listening, I love you, son. And you know what? You're going to be out of there in a few years. You're not going to be stuck in that situation forever. And this goes out to anybody else who's feeling this way right now. Myself included. This does not last forever. You will get out of the situation. Live. Do not die. Do not kill yourself. Do not take your own life by the hand of suicide. Do not play any of these stupid games or challenges. Parents, one more last very important piece of information. If you're going to give your child an electronic device, no matter which brand you favor most, please do us all a favor and yourself a favor and your kids a favor and buy them an iPhone. Why? Because iPhone will let you install spyware on your children's phone. Yep, That means you get to see every text, listen to every voice message, every picture that is sent or received, anything, every app. Nothing outsmarts this software that I'm referring to. So if you're going to give them an electronic device, give them an iPhone and put the software on it first. And go ahead and install it. It costs, I don't know how much. You can buy it on the internet. It's pretty public knowledge. A lot of people use it. And, it's funny because we think we know our kids, but you don't really know your kids until you have access to what they don't know that you can see and hear. You can even hear the phone call as it's happening and listen. And they can't even hear you because they, they're blocked from hearing you. So that's it. That's all I've got for you guys tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I will put this on iHeart maybe tonight if I've got time. If not, tomorrow for sure. And check out that video if you want. And one more time, please tune in on Friday to Decoding the Unknown if you'd like to learn about the deep web and the dark web and the 4% that we're only allowed to see, the surface. All right, guys. I love you. Have a great night. If you are celebrating Mardi Gras, hey, have a drink for me and have fun for me. And, I wish I could say I was going to be having fun too, but I work a lot. So have some fun for me. All right. Love you guys. Keep it positive. I hope that this music that I have been playing in the background this entire time has helped you focus and hear my words and take them to heart. That's it. Have a good night, guys. I'm out. This is Tiffany H. Lewis with Be the Change. I'll talk to you guys again on Friday and again on Tuesday.
Are you ready to be inspired? Are you ready to make positive changes in your life? Tune in to Be the Change, live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, featuring our heartwarming radio host, Tiffany Lewis. She's an empath, an indigo, and has a new and uplifting message for you. Every week, Tiffany can be heard only on Clearsource Radio, where people inspire people, from our soul to yours. You can get the free app today at clearsourceradio.com. Visit Tiffany H. Lewis on Facebook for even more daily inspiration.